Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, everybody. It is Monday, September 1st, and you know what that means. It's time for the High Risk Wrestling Recap. I am your host, Jeremy Pierce. Check out the socials, Charismatic Creations on Facebook and YouTube, Charismatic_Creations52 on Instagram, and of course, the 215 on Twitter. And without further ado, let's get into the news. Well, we have an update on the WWE Speed titles. They will be making their way to NXT. It was announced that first things first, we are going to find Soroka, the current Speed Women's Champion, some challengers, and they consist of Candice LeRae, AAA's Fabi Apache, NXT's Lainey Reed, and TNA's Zaya Brookside. I like this grouping of women. For me, the obvious standouts are Candice LeRae and Fabi Apache. Of note, Candice LeRae, I believe, is a former Speed champion. AEW has started their residency at the legendary 2300 Arena, formerly known as the ECW Arena, last week, and they were faced with some protests by a local union. The International Alliance of Theatrical Stage Employees took to the Facebook account to kind of criticize AEW, talking about they have unfair wages and they don't use unions, this, that, and a third. And this is just a misnomer. AEW has their own union and their own crew that they bring with them from Jacksonville, and the 2300 Arena building is a non-union building, so they can hire whoever and whatever crew that they want. Hook has made his return. He came out with the new music. Remember, he used to have not Post Malone, Action Bronson using doing his theme, and it looks like the rights ran out to that, so he was using JJ Johansson's 1996 track, So Tell the Girls That I Am Back in Town. It's a good track. Go listen to it. Booker T once again put his foot in his mouth, talking about he doesn't understand the gummy bear spot that happened at Forbidden Door, and proves why he doesn't watch AEW. Well, Booker T, your dumbass doesn't need to be watching AEW. Because you don't watch AEW, then you won't understand the spots. You are a shill for the WWE. That's just how it is. The WWE staff have been hit with another round of layoffs amid restructuring efforts. It just sucks once again as the merger has gone through. More staff have been laid off, because you have the staff from the Endeavor that have come over, and vice versa. We have some news, maybe a sign that we get an update. AEW pay-per-views may finally be airing on Max. Andrew Zarian, who is a very, very trusted source, says something is coming up with the restructure of AEW, with the restructure of WB and Discovery, and we shall see if we get the pay-per-views on Max, not for free, but at a discounted rate, maybe $10 to $15 per event, unlike the WWE where they want you to pay $30 a month. AEW already charges $50 for a month pay-per-view, and it does great business for them, because you know you're going to get your money's worth. Death Before Dishonor was also this past weekend, and they faced some technical issues, so the entire pay-per-view aired on the Ring of Honor YouTube channel that's still there right now. If you love professional wrestling, go and check it out. We finally got the bracket for the Ring of Honor Pure Women's Championship. Now, first things first, I don't think they need this championship. That makes 3 women's championships for Ring of Honor. I just wish we had the tag team titles to come out. But the bracket consists of Taya Valkyrie versus Queen Aminata, Deonna Purrazzo versus Trish Adora. They'll face the winners of each other. Then we have Billy Starks versus Olympia from CMLL, and Serena Deeb versus Yuka Sakazaki. They will face each other. My money is on Deonna Purrazzo or Queen Aminata in the finals to take on Serena Deeb. And I'm sure you saw the video this past weekend at Clash of Paris of just fans hounding Rhea Ripley. And it's just not a good look. And Buddy Murphy came out and spoke out about it, like, bro, we are people. Don't swarm anybody. And he has a right to talk. That's his wife. Of course, pretty much a day later, we saw security with Roxanne Perez. Where was the security in the first place. On the injury side of things, Swerve has had successful knee surgery. He will be out for the time being. Ospreay has had successful surgery. Will Ospreay and Swerve are two of the top faces in AEW, and we'll see how they recover. Orange Cassidy has been cleared to return. I believe Eddie Kingston has also been cleared to return, so it's going to be great to get those two top faces back. DDP was in the hospital after having a heart scare, and DDP is a great man. We don't need anything happening with him. And Trey Miguel has also been cleared to return after his hernia injury, so we'll see how things progress with him. But that's the news, and we shall be right back with the week in review. All right, we had our Clash in Paris go home show from Monday Night Raw, and this is the week in review. We open up with the Roman Reigns in-ring promo. He's getting the chance of the OTC. He acknowledges his personal evolution and acknowledges Jey Uso's personal evolution. He's talking about the loss of the bloodline and respect for Jay's title shot, and he's happy to see him grow. He calls out Bronson Reed over the stolen shoes. So Paul and Heyman and Bronson Reed come out. We got a nice little verbal exchange, and Reed references his Samoan exile heritage. A brawl erupts. These dudes fight, and security breaks them up. Hard to contain the chaos. Then we had a backstage segment with Finn and JD to see he sees Dom talking to El Grande Americano, and he's getting a little suspicious. Our first match actually was Dragon Lee versus JD McDonough. Dragon Lee overcame the early interference. Ray and AJ Styles were ringside, but ultimately Dragon Lee won with the Operation Dragon. We had a backstage interview with LA Knight. He addresses CM Punk's actions from last week, but he's focused on his match versus Braun Breaker in the world title match at Clash in Paris, and declares he's the only one that's going to eat. So he got a really good promo. He's hungry, he is starving, and needs to be world champion. At a Rusev vignette, he claims he is no longer controlled by others, and he promises to hurt whoever he chooses. He's targeting Sheamus first. As they've been really knuckling him up these past couple of weeks. We had another backstage segment with the Judgment. There's been a lot of backstage segments before we even get to the second freaking match. Raquel Rodriguez tries to calm the tensions between Dom and Finn. Raquel gives Roxanne a pep talk before her match later in the evening. Finally, we get to our second match, Penta versus Kofi Kingston. Grayson Waller and Xavier Woods were ringside. We had an intense back and forth encounter with some crowd engagement, but ultimately Kofi won with the Trouble in Paradise after a distraction from Grayson Waller. We got a recap of everything going on with the Women's World Championship. Naomi dropped it because she is pregnant. And what's going on in the division? Io pinned Raquel. And Roxanne had attacked Io, and Rhea made the save. So Rhea agreed to keep their distance from each other, and Asuka spies, and she is not happy. We had an in-ring segment with Becky Lynch and Nikki Bella. Becky runs down Birmingham where they were at. They were overseas, so Birmingham in the UK. Calls out Nikki Bella. Nikki fires back with some insults of her own. She calls Becky a coward. Tensions escalate, and the match is finally set for Clash in Paris. A brawl upper hands, but neither woman really gets the upper hand. We got CM Punk backstage in response to LA Knight says he doesn't care if Knight got hurt. It's every man for himself, and he promises to paint his masterpiece with their blood at the the premium live event. We had Rhea Ripley versus Roxanne Perez in a fun encounter. Raquel Rodriguez was at ringside showing support for Roxanne. This was a hard-hitting match, and Roxanne was really resilient. We see why she is called the Prodigy. Ultimately, Rhea Ripley won with the Riptide in a post-match attack. Perez attacked Rhea, and Io made the save, and they acknowledged each other, Rhea and Io. Backstage division, Rollins praises Reed and Breaker and teases Roman Reigns' downfall, and the division becoming more. Hint, hint, wink, wink, nudge, nudge. AJ Styles versus Finn Balor. This was a really good match. Early control back and forth held by Balor. There was no interference from Dom or the rest of the JD, but Styles went clean with the Styles clash. It's not up to the standard I've seen these two have with each other before. So it just misses out on the match of the week, but I would love to see these two do it again. Cole teases Dom's reaction to Finn Balor losing because Finn was supposed to take care of AJ. Jay and Roman are backstage, and Roman advises Jay not to trust Punk. Don't trust anybody. It's about legacy, not friendship. We had another Bayley vignette with her split personality. The voices are talking about her career evolution, and we got the past optimistic NXT Bayley versus the current self-doubting and the ding dong hello. And we got everything about her self-worth and her ultimate transformation. Lara Valkyria is backstage, and she expressed a concern about Bayley's mental state. Adam Pearce reassures her he's tried reaching out and will let her know when he speaks to her. Dom complains about Styles costing the AAA Mega title, so Pearce books Dom versus Styles for the Aussie title. In comparison, Dom, well, he's got to accept. We got another fight as Roman and Braun are still... Roman ambushes Bronson Reed and Braun Breaker, and Pearce demands Breaker head to the ring for his match. LA Knight ambushes Breaker on the way to the ring, and during the actual match, Breaker wins with the spear as Seth distracted Knight. It was a hard-hitting, competitive bout. Cole noted that Knight is on fire, but ultimately he could not get the W. Rouse attacked Knight after the match. Jay attempts to save, but he's overwhelmed. So Punk comes in, he clears out. So we got miscommunication between the three men, not including Seth Rollins, and they all end up fighting with Jay standing tall as Rollins stops Bronson and Braun from getting involved over on Dynamite. This show gets a thumbs up. It was the start of the 2300 residency. We open up first with FTR and Stokely Hathaway. Cash argues with the fan, and Dax complains about the illegal man law, saying, hey, the wrong man was pinned. The match is illegal. Paul Turner refuses to reverse the decision. Stokely insults him. Christian attacks Stokely, and the brawl happens. Christian taunts about FTR's father, and we finally get the match set for Toronto. It will be Copeland and Christian versus FTR at All Out. We got a Darby Allin vignette. Henry calls Club him out. Everest, and he vows to take everything from John Moxley at All Out. Remember, Darby cut a promo at the top of Mount Everest, ladies and gentlemen. Our first match was John Moxley defeating Daniel Garcia in a nice competitive match with a couple near falls, but Mox ultimately won with the cradle. Yuta Mox Garcia brags about the Death Rider's dominance, and then Hook returns to run him off and choke him out. We had an MJF promo. He blames Mark Briscoe for his loss and threatens him, and says the casino contract will be Briscoe, Soul, and then Hangman. So we had a second match of the evening with Chris Statlander and Harley Cameron taking up Penelope Ford and Megan Bayne. Ultimately, the faces won as Stat submitted Penelope Ford, and Willow joined the post-match to kind of save them, but there's still tension between Willow and Chris. Mercedes, when they had an interview in the ring, before we even get to that, I don't like Tony Khan running the women's segments back to back like that instead of spreading them out throughout the show. You should definitely be having Mercedes either at the top of the hour or somewhere in the second hour, but not right there in the middle. So Mercedes declares her goal to surpass Ultimo Dragon's 10 title record. She currently is 9 belts. Monet, it should be 8 because you're not going to count the Owen Hart Cup, but she dismisses Alex Windsor promise to put her in the hospital right next to her boyfriend Will Ospreay. Mark Briscoe cut a promo, introduces us to his newest baby. I think this is number 9 for Mark. He's just slinging that thing. He challenges Kyle Fletcher for a TNT title match in Philly. He knows that arena and that city very, very well. Our next match was Don Callis' family with Okada, Hechicero, Takeshita, and Josh Alexander defeating Bandido, Brody King, and Jet Speed. But there was some tension between Okada and Takeshita with as big, and there was no follow-up with Wardlow, which is weird. I expect Takeshita to be leaving the family soon. We had a Hangman Page promo. He pays respect to Ospreay. He calls MJF and warns him about the contract rules, stating that you gotta announce this ahead of time. He's interrupted by the Don Callis family, who tried to go for the attack. Jet Speed made the assist. Kenny made the return, and him and Hangman reunited. Then we had a promo with Mina, Shirakawa, and Tony Storm promoting the Athena Mina Ring of Honor match at Death Before Dishonor. The Opps defeated the Gates of Agony to retain the Trios Championship. MVP actually interfered, costing the Gates and Ricochet the match. After the match, Lashley and Shawn Benjamin brawl with the Gates of Agony. In our main event, Darby Allin defeated Claudio Castagnoli in a false count anywhere match. These two dudes brawled through the arena, went through tables and chairs, and Claudio straight up threw Darby to the announce table. Listen, When this match got announced, I was like, yeah, he's probably going to try to flip Darby out into the crowd. It was crazy, but Darby ultimately won with the code red followed by the coffin drop. The arena looked really good. It looks beautiful. I'm going to the third week of shows. That's the final week. I cannot wait. Over on TNA, this show gets a fifth. Santana is fighting back. So he and Steve Macklin open the show defeating Trick Williams and AJ Francis in a tag team match. It was solid affair. The AJ and Trick tried to isolate on Santana until Steve Macklin got the hot tag, but ultimately Santana hit the cutter and the DVD on Trick, and all four men brawl. Santana and Trick fight again. G. Miller interviewed Leon Slater and Cedric Alexander backstage, and Cedric praises Slater, says he's earned his respect, but he still wants that championship, and Slater is conflicted about facing the Hardys, who he idolizes, but Hardys could still, he could still win tag team title gold. Maybe him and Cedric Alexander. Eric and Marie, we got to replay their conversation from the previous week. Marie then took on Eric Young, but ultimately Eric Young won. He lows blows Reed with the ref being distracted and hit him with the power driver. The commentary comments on this cleanse that Eric Young keeps talking about, because there was a Max fan holding up a sign saying the cleanse is coming. We got a replay of Danny Luna's heel turn. Indy Hartwell is upset. Danny stole, her chance, and she's tired of being overlooked. Ava announces Zaya Brooks versus Candice LeRae in the Speed tournament. We got the Elegance brand segment. Ash by Elegance is your new Knockouts champion. It is well earned and well deserved. She has saved TNA, and next week will be the Elegance era. The Inspiration versus Jack Menace and Fallon Henry. The Inspiration wins with their double team move, and Jessica McKay pinning Jasmine Nix. It was good to see Jasmine in the ring because she never wrestles. The crowd was kind of lukewarm in this, but both teams need stronger storylines, and this could be the start of it. We got our injury report, and I like that TNA does an injury report. So Indy Hartwell, JDC, and the Hardys are all listed as injured. We got a Trick Williams segment. He's on the phone with his lawyer and is complaining about Santana attack, and tells his lawyer to come up with something. Ryan Nemeth announces that Nick, his brother, will return next week. He's interrupted by Alicia Edwards, and the crowd was showing support to the system. Eddie Edwards attacks, and we get an impromptu match with Eddie Edwards versus Ryan Nemeth, but ultimately Eddie wins with a Tiger Bomb followed up with the Boston Knee Party. This match has solidified the system as faces. I cannot believe we are living in a world where the system are good guys. G. Miller interviews Indy Hartwell, and she says she's disappointed with Andy Luna, and she vows to fight back. Santino announces Indy versus Jody Threat in a number contenders match, and Jody interrupts, and the match is now being made into a triple threat match. I expect Danny to win that. Joe Hendry, we got shown his cameo at the UK House Show versus The Miz, which I believe he won that match. And Eric Young had a promo talking about the cleanse, and the camera pans out, and Young is standing over a fallen Joe Hendry. Our next match was Mara Sade versus Tasha Steelz. Mara started out hot, but there was interference. Mara rallies, hit the dodge, and he gets the cutter for the win. Cutter by Tasha Steelz for the win. Post-match, the hands hold Mara, and she's attacked by Tasha. She's attacked by Agent Zero, so the Hardys ran in and made the save. The Hardys ended up facing Leon Slater, ultimately getting the win with the twist of fate on Cedric Alexander, followed by the Swan Ton Bomb. Jeff looks good here. Trick Williams in his lawyer segment, his lawyer, which is Michael O'Shea, complains that TNA is unsafe and goes to the crime scene. Claims the 50 days to defend the title is still legit. Santino interrupts and hints at Bound for Glory. Santino hits the Cobra on the lawyer, and Trick storms off. Over on SmackDown, this show gets a thumbs up. This was the Clash in Paris Go Home show, so we opened up with the promo between Logan Paul and John Cena. Logan arrives in a luxury vehicle, brags about his influence, yada yada yada, being his revenue, being a disruptor. Cena interrupts and calls Logan fake, a wannabe, and definitely notices that his shrinking influence, he's not on the influential list anymore. We get a heated back and forth exchange, and ultimately Cena frames Logan Paul as desperate, and their match will definitely be official. We had a backstage segment with the Street Profits and B-Fab, and Bo Dallas confronts them about the family and hints that Dawkins possibly joining the Wyatts. What? We had a women's segment where Charlotte Flair and Alexa Bliss attacked were by Chelsea and Alba. This is supposed to be a women's tag team title match, but for some reason we there was just no Piper Niven. So it ends up becoming a one-on-one match with Chelsea and Alexa, with Alexa ultimately wins. Chelsea and Alba Fire tag Bliss and Charlotte after the match, and the heels stand tall. I don't know what we're doing here, but it's Chelsea Green. She can make anything work. Sami is confident that he'll be winning the U.S. Championship in the main event later tonight. We got Michael Cole congratulating Cody and Brandy on their new baby. Aleister Black is ready for Damian Priest, and Priest responds like, listen, I'm bringing you violence. I'm going to promise you violence. Michin defeated Kiana James with a quick roll up. I mean, the match started and it was over, but Michin got her ass beat after the match by Julia and Kiana. Then we had Drew and Randy Orton in the ring, and Drew says Cody manipulates people and tries to sway Orton to his side. Like, listen, I can respect you if you attacked me for you, but if you attacked me because you're friends with Cody, that's an issue. And Orton says, look, you're a prick. Attacked him. Brawl leads an RKO on security, and Shane Helms. Backstage, we had Miz and Mello with a little bit of tension over the partnership because Mello's like, you keep stealing my pins, and Miz is like, we're winning matches. So ultimately they're awesome, but Bo Dallas interrupts and says like, yeah, Mello, you know what's up. Then we had the Street Profits versus Mello, The Miz in the number one contenders match. Ultimately the Profits won, getting their tag team title match versus the Wyatts at Clash in Paris. We had Jade Cargill and Tiffany Stratton backstage talking about I don't know what we're doing with Tiffany and Jade. This is their fight. I guess they're gonna fight again for the women's championship. Solo vows to that Sami won't take his show or his title, but guess what happened in the main event? Sami Zayn defeated Solo Sikoa to become the new United States Championship, hitting Solo with 2 Helluva kicks. Over on Collision, I love AEW. Collision needs star power. It gets a fist. It just can't be a show where stuff happens. And what hurt Rampage was you were treating it as a show half the time where stuff just happens. And it's weird to me that Dynamite can be so tight and get 4 to 5 matches, whereas for some reason Collision can get like 8 matches on one show, and it feels like nothing happens. We've got to treat Collision as that secondary good show with stories. So the show begins with no pyro and music. Our first match was Daniel Garcia ultimately defeating Blake Christian, and he calls out Mox that he wants him and he wants a match at next week on Collision, and it's going down. Will Leader appears, gets booed and choked out. The conglomeration of backstage, O'Reilly, Ishii, and Hologram argue about Roderick Strong. Roderick's like, what is going on, O'Reilly? Because O'Reilly's like, yeah, I'm technically Ishii, but he's always had our back. But ultimately they lose the tag team match as Kyle Fletcher and Josh Alexander defeated O'Reilly and Ishii in a hard-hitting tag team match. See, I would have gone with Alexander and probably Rocky Romero. Where the hell? Oh, I think Trent's still hurt. I believe Trent's still. This would have been a good match to have Wardlow here. This would have made sense. But we got no Wardlow on this show. We had a brawl backstage as Jamie Hayter and Thekla are just brawling in a loading dock, and security had to separate them. I'm hoping we're not going to transition fully away from Thekla versus Queen Aminata. Early in the day, Kip Sabian is the one blaming Killswitch for the loss at Forbidden Door, revealing his bruised eye and stitches. And Mother Wayne mediates and is calming them down. Jay Lethal ultimately loses an evenly fought and athletic match with a lot of reversals against Hologram. Hologram ultimately won with the torture rag powerbomb. We got a glitch after the match, post-match, where there's a red version of Hologram that's coming. And if you don't know what's going on, a big thing in luchador wrestling is there's usually an evil version of the luchador. So we'll see what goes down here. I'm very, very interested to see what's going to happen. Ricochet versus the Hurt Syndicate, he calls out them. It says MVP is an unwinnable fight. Alex Windsor defeated Ashley Vox in a quick squash match, and he calls out Mercedes Moné. Challenges are for the TBS Championship. Earlier in the day, we had Mark Briscoe talk to Don Callis about, yo, I want your boy Kyle Fletcher, and Callis is dodging him and says, listen, you can face a member of the family to get get to Kyle Fletcher. He'll probably end up facing Rocky Romero or Josh Alexander. FTR versus Adam Priest and JD Drake. Quick, solid, fun tag team match. FTR won that match. He tapped out Priest with the Border City Stretch. FTR caught a promo on Copeland and Christian about to end their careers at Toronto. We got a quick recap of Death Before Dishonor, showing Sammy Guevara and Rush win the Ring of Honor tag team titles, and Sammy is officially part of LFI. Don Callis, Alex Fletcher, and Alexander hype up Dynamite, and they said they'll be targeting Kenny Omega. Big Bill defeated Juice Robinson as he won with the running sidewalk slam. Skyflight are vowing to come for the Ring of Honor Trios titles, seeing as how they are undefeated. I don't think Ring of Honor needs trio titles. I think they should be unified with the AEW Trios Championships. Gabe Kidd challenges Darby Allin next week and threatens to take it. So Darby we got a video of him. He's skateboarding and does a 4-wheeler jump, and he promotes Tony Hawk's charity. And in the main event, Tony Storm, Mina, Shirakawa, and Queen Aminata defeated Billy Starks, Julia Hart, and Sky Blue. Looks like Julia might have got hurt in this match. Her nose was bleeding, but thankfully definitely checked on her, because the Triangle of Madness after the match beat up everybody, and they stood tall. Our matches of the week from Dynamite: Jon Moxley versus Daniel Garcia. And I'll be remiss not to mention that Garcia was approached by Moxley after the match. Mox is doing some recruiting here, also from Dynamite. The Opps versus Ricochet and Gates of Agony for the Trios Championships, and of course Darby Allin versus Claudio Castagnoli in that Falls Count Anywhere match from Death Before Dishonor. We got a 3 of them things. We've got Lee Moriarty versus Xelhua for the Pure Championship, Bandido versus Hechicero for the Ring of Honor World Championship, and Athena versus Mina Shirakawa, which was the main event for the Ring of Honor Women's Championship. And from Clash in Paris, Rusev versus Sheamus in that good old-fashioned Donnybrook match. Just some solid affairs, solid wrestling matches. My favorite match out of all this is probably that Ring of Honor Championship match. Our stars of the week got to go for Sami Zayn for becoming the new United States Champion. Shane Taylor Promotions for becoming the new Ring of Honor Trios Championships. And Bronson Reed, even though he lost, he looked fantastic against Roman Reigns. But that is our show, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. You know you can check out the socials: Charismatic Creations on Facebook and YouTube, Charismatic_Creations 52 on Instagram, and of course the 215 on Twitter. I see you when I see you. Peace.